Today on Transitional News, headline heroes, highlights, and hallelujahs. Stay tuned.
Hi, welcome to Transitional News, where we view current events through a prophetic lens. I'm Sherry
And I'm MaryBeth McElroy.
And we're dealing with all of these headline heroes and hallelujahs and highlights today.
We can't wait.
So I'm just going to start listing out some titles on some articles, and then we're just going to give our opinion as we usually do. Anyway, so here we go. All right.
Okay, here we go.
Here is a few changes in the Middle East since the attack that Trump has stressed his diplomacy to end the Iran war. The war is going to continue. I mean, it's just going to continue, folks.
And President Trump told us in the beginning, this will not be a short thing. This will not be a short operation, that there's going to be a little bit of longevity to it, but we want to complete our goal. And that's the truth.
And that is the very truth. And, you know, if you really do search out history, this is the first time in, since when? President Clinton, right? All of them have been talking about how Iran has been a threat to the Middle East, to the surrounding Arab nations, right, as well as to America and Europe. And Trump is the first one to actually put words, and not just words, but actions to the words.
Right. And even Bush. Was,
like I said, since that time going forward.
47 years of this. It's time for a change.
So keep them in prayer. Okay, here's a hallelujah. Baptisms in the oceans are a sign of revival in Cancun.
Hallelujah. We're seeing revivals that are starting to break out. We're seeing them in universities, Texas, and there's those that are in Florida. Mm-hmm. But I loved when Sherry was reading the headline that this one is in Cancun. And I just thought, what better place for people to be going on vacation, going to rest and relax, have a visitation of the Lord, get baptized in the Cancun and the oceans and the beauty. And I just want to say, hallelujah.
And it's kind of fun because the article talks about how these people were just down there on vacation. And so they started sharing the gospel with other tourists.
Yeah.
And so people began to accept the Lord, and then baptisms. And so it's just been happening more and more and more and more. And so they started doing these outreach teams now to all the tourists that are coming in Cancun. I just think it's awesome.
I do. And 2 years ago, I was on a cruise, and I was by the pool, and I was reading, and I started watching because there was a group that started saying, hey, we've got a few baptisms. And I began to watch, and it began to grow. There was 3 that were going to be baptized. They started worshiping Sherry, and I got up, and I went over because I thought, I do not want to miss this.
I want to be a part.
And people were just saying, I want to be baptized. I want to be baptized. Yeah. And suddenly I thought, maybe we need a cruise mission field. And I will sign up. I can lead it.
I love that. We'll be on a cruise and go baptize people. I love it. All right, here's another headline for you. Senate confirms Mullin at DHS as the Democratic leaders say, what do they say? I don't know. I'm going to click on the article here. As they say, that ICE agents could brutalize and kill travelers in the airports. So what do you think about Mullins being the DHS secretary now?
Right. I am very thrilled, to be quite honest. I'm seeing this through a prophetic lens, while this is Transitional News, seeing current events through a prophetic lens. And we are both from Oklahoma, and we're living in the center, kind of the eastern portion of Oklahoma. And we are watching what God is doing in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And let's just talk about Oklahoma has been tagged. Let's take Mullin out of this. Oklahoma has been tagged to represent and carry the assignment of Homeland Security. Wow. I see that in the spirit. I see the importance of intercession. I see the importance of a move of God in Oklahoma. We are the reddest state. That is the truth. All 77 counties voted for President Trump. And Let's see how God moves in our nation.
I think it's interesting with the Oklahoma being the heartland of America, right? So suddenly the security for an entire nation is
Yes.
being overseen from the heart area.
Yes.
Not just the head, although the head is very, very important, but also from the heart area. So that's going to be interesting. The other thing that I think just kind of tweaks me a little bit, I'm like, he was a wrestler. He was a pro wrestler. And, the types of matters that DHS has to handle, the Homeland Security, you have to wrestle through these things.
That's right.
And so there's strategy as to, okay, do I take the enemy down here or do I just stand here? Like there's strategy development in wrestling in championships and doing that whole sport that runs a little bit different than football strategy, right? Than baseball strategy. Yeah. So I just think it's interesting that we have somebody who already has a wrestling mentality, right, in his thought processes being put in that position. Just interesting.
So what a time and a season to wrestle. We are wrestling a lot of different challenges in our own lives, in our families, in our states, in our nations. Mm-hmm. So Oklahoma has released a wrestler as the Department of Homeland Security in this time. Hallelujah.
This is just a really neat headline. The Kurdish fighters who lived in Iraq, right? They lived underneath Saddam Hussein. Yes. And they were the people group that was targeted by his chemical attacks. It's just awful what they went through as a people group because they were one of the ones that wouldn't submit very well up underneath his regime. And anyway, they helped America, right? They helped defeat ISIS within that region. And they have called and said to the current administration, we are willing to help you fight and deal with things in Iran. The Kurds are stepping up again. And the Kurds have a very unique history. Mm-hmm. They talk about how, different potential Bible people that lived during Bible times, right, came up out of that area and up out of the Kurds. So I think it's kind of fun for them to say, raise their hand. I'm not seeing too many other nations that are raising their hand to say, we're willing to come alongside the fight here and help take off the head of the snake, not just kill the body, right? Go after the body, but go after every single head that this serpent has grown. And so this is, you cut off one little place, right? It regrows a leg. It's kind of like I lived in Florida for a number of years and, we've got those little lizards. And so if you grab a hold of the tail, right, it'll come off, which is really weird and it'll keep wiggling. It kind of freaks you out a little bit, and of course the lizard runs off and he's got a little stub about that big, but it's got the ability to regenerate. And so we're in a season where darkness wants to regenerate. And so to have another people group say, we're willing to come alongside and neuter this thing so that it will no longer reproduce. And so I just think it's awesome that the Kurds said yes to that.
And I think that's an invitation for us to know that we're about to rise up and say yes. And there is a call of in this time for the nations and for families and for individuals to say yes. I keep looking at this as I'm thinking, so what does this come under? Does this come under highlights? Does it come under heroes? Does it come under hallelujah? And I was thinking, no, this is a hero. Yeah. These are heroes that we look back. You look back in history and you see when someone rises up like a Churchill and we go, those are heroes. And so I believe that there's a potential possibility that there are going to be many heroes in this hour who are saying, here I am skilled, I am ready, I'm equipped, and I give you my yes.
Yeah. It's like the hero from the Paralympics.
Yeah, the Paralympics. The 19-year-old young man who was abandoned at birth in China, and his name is Caden Beasley, and he was adopted by a North Carolina couple. Anyway, he led the team, the Paralympic sled hockey team, to a gold. What a hero. Yeah. What a hero. No legs. He's amputated both legs by the time he was 3. And as he was moving through his life, they saw a natural ability. Isn't it interesting that he had a natural ability and the triumphant overcoming spirit that was given to him was that which would say, okay, so I have lost my legs, but the natural bent, the way God created me and made me is still there. So how is the creativity of that which indeed I can step into to bring delight to my heart? So I say to you, and I say to myself, we are truly not handicapped. We have full potential because we can overcome. Wherever you are, whatever you're struggling with, let's ask now, what is available for us to overcome, to live a life and truly be a hero to ourselves and a hero to our families and our communities?
It's time to step up, ladies and gentlemen, and all of us have to figure out where in the current flow of our life, where do we need to step up? What is it? And just begin to step into one of these places. Are you going to end up being a highlight, news highlight, headline highlight? Or are you going to be a headline hero?
Hero.
Are you going to be one of those ones that when people read the headline of your life, they're going to say, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I hope to be maybe, I don't know, all three. Who knows? But God does. And so we want to bless you. We're so grateful that you tuned in today. May you have an awesome day. And we'll talk to you again soon. Goodbye.
Goodbye and hallelujah. Have a good day.